Today we're going to learn about an artist named Keith Haring. He liked pop art and graffiti-like work, and he grew out of New York City. He loved drawing and grew up learning basic cartooning skills from his father and popular culture around him, like Dr. Seuss and Walt Disney. Haring was not interested in traditional art school, and he liked to hang out with alternative artists and musicians. He wanted to make public art for all people, rich, poor, old, young, everyone could appreciate his work. He began drawing with chalk on unused advertising panels in New York subways, sometimes making 40 drawings a day, and the New Yorkers loved his images, and his popularity grew, sometimes internationally. Let's see what we can do with his style. So to make a little picture in the style of Keith Haring, first I'm going to decide what I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw myself, and right now I'm just going to use stick figures. I'm waving to you guys, and maybe I have a brush in my hand. I'm in front of my iPad, which is on a tripod, and of course, my dog Roxy is always watching me. So this is just the basic outline of what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to choose some colors. Keith Haring always has a background color. Maybe I'll use yellow for my background color. And then he has other flat colors for the rest of his figures. So maybe I'll put the iPad on some red. My dog is kind of a silver color, so I'll use gray for her, and maybe some blue for me in the middle. And then I'm going to do the same thing, drawing these figures on to the colored paper. Now, to make it like Keith Haring, he likes to thicken things up. So I'm just going to trace around those little stick figures so that they're a little bit thicker. That's what we kind of like about Keith Haring's work, is it's not complicated. It's very simple. But he does show action and movement. So there we go. I could even put a little paintbrush in my hand there. How's that? And maybe for the iPad, I'll just draw that on there with the tripod. And again, I'm going to thicken it up. Nice and simple. And for Roxy, we've got her head. She's got some big flappy ears. She barks at every car that goes by. And she's sitting around watching me do my videos all day. All right? There we go. So to keep with Keith Haring's style, I'm going to just outline the outside of these figures. And then I will erase that original stick figure that I put on the inside to help guide me. So I'm going to outline all my figures here. So after I outline, I'm going to go back and erase all my pencil lines. And then I'm going to very carefully cut these out so that you can still see the black line. Remember, a lot of Keith Haring's pictures have those with thick black outlines on them and the solid color on the inside. So this might take me a second, and I'm going to very carefully cut out all my figures. So I have cut out my pieces, and now I'm ready to put them on a background. If we look at some of Keith Haring's work, again, we notice that he has a ground line on many of them with a very simple little pattern in there. So I think I'm going to do that, and that will give these figures something to stand on. If I have my piece of paper and I cut a long strip of a different color for the background, then I can just glue that on there. Line it up right there on the bottom. And I can put just a simple pattern like he does throughout the ground. There we go. Keep your pattern simple. Remember, we don't want to take away from the figures. They're the focus. And now I can glue my little herring figures on there. Remember, we don't want to glue them above the ground line. That makes them look like they're floating in space. So we're going to bring it down on top of the ground line just a little bit. And we'll just put a tiny little bit of glue back there. I don't want it oozing out everywhere. And we'll glue all of those right down there. Now the last thing that Keith Haring does is he shows movement in almost a cartoon-like way. Remember, his background is in cartooning and graphic design. So hopefully we can show a little bit of movement or action in this also. You can show me all kinds of things that you've been doing at home. Maybe you're doing lots of jumping jacks, or maybe you're outside playing badminton. There we go. So you can show me that. And Keith Haring does this with little movement lines. Like the dog barking, he will put maybe some lines like that, so it looks like the dog is actually barking. Tail wagging, he might put some little lines like that, so it looks like the tail is wagging. Person waving, person walking, and maybe even my iPad is recording and speaking back to me. So now I've got a little bit of movement in there too. So see what you can do. Keith Haring is a lot of fun. I'd love to see your pictures when you get finished. Bye-bye.